Good evening and welcome to the December 16th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference. Please be patient. We'll do our best to be efficient and allow everyone to participate. This meeting is also being broadcast and streamed online by FCTV in real time. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. The chair recognizes the attendance and assistance of all our staff members, Jen, Kevin, Alyssa, Mark, Amy, and Susan. And we have the full complement of commissioners tonight. Thank you all for your, what do I want to say?
Dedication
Yeah, we are a dedicated bunch.
or desperation.
Yeah. Remind you about commenting. I'll call on you for comments at each time, so let's not talk over each other. And again, the votes have to be done by roll call, so state your name and your vote at the appropriate time. To our public participants, there will be an opportunity for public comment for each hearing. If you'd like to comment on a particular hearing, you may submit any comments or questions via the chat function once that hearing has been opened. At the appropriate time, I will call for public comments and any submissions will be read into the record. The link and further instructions are posted on the agenda. Without further ado, we'll vote for minutes, December 9th.
Mr. Chairman, I've read the minutes and moved that they be adopted with any possible corrections made on the floor. That's my motion.
All right.
So this is Betsy. I'll second it. And Mr. Eder's name is E-D-E-R. That's for Susan.
All right.
Thank you, Betsy.
You're welcome.
Anything else? All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as corrected. Betsy,
The Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Goody, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter. You're muted.
Walsh, aye.
Thank you. Steve?
Aye.
Thank you. We've accepted the minutes as corrected. Next up, request for continuance under a determination of applicability. Falmouth Commodores Baseball Club, Inc., care of Chuck Sturdivant, 744 Main Street, Falmouth, Mass., for permission to install an additional ADA sidewalk, a handicap accessible ramp, and netting post. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until January 6th.
So moved.
Gladfelter, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this RDA until January 6th. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Goody, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing, the RDA is continued until January 6th. Next up is a request for continuance under a notice of intent. And there's a couple of them. The first one is Town of Falmouth, Department of Public Works, 0 Minot Road, parcel 4520-002-000, Falmouth, Mass., for permission to conduct beach nourishment and to construct 2 rubble mound groins. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant requests a continuance until January 6th.
Bird, so moved.
Gladfelter, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing until January 6th. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Goody, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is continued until January 6th. Jen, are we getting full on that night?
Um.
I mean, I'm sure you looked
We
at
have
it.
we have
before.
a bunch of RDAs coming in. Well, we're gonna be busy. But I think this is, I mean, after the next, I think that'll be it for the 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Moving along. David P. and Kathy E. Campbell, 0 Millfield Street, map 49A 04, parcel/lot 064-001, Woods Hole, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a single-family dwelling and garage with associated paved driveway, crushed stone parking area, retaining walls, to install native trees and shrubs, and to install a drainage system. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until February 3rd.
Bird, so move. Why are they requesting a continuance?
The Millfield Street, Courtney, if you remember, that's the one that was on that, right on that coastal bank. I think they're just looking at redesigning it.
Fair enough.
Okay, and they needs more time.
Okay,
Gladfelter, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing until February 3rd. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Gurney, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve. Steve, you're muted.
Patton, aye.
Thank you. It is unanimous. This hearing is continued until February 3rd. Hey, I got a dumb question. Doesn't Woods Hole have its own zip code?
02543.
Okay, so why do we call it Woods Hole, Falmouth, Mass?
But
Food for thought. Next up.
sorry about that, Mr. Chairman.
No, I'm just asking because I see it frequently, so I always wondered that. Next up, request for a continuance under an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. First up, AMP Solar Development, Inc., 41 and 48 Theater Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Request for confirmation of the following resource area boundaries and buffer zones: bordering vegetated wetland, isolated vegetated wetland, and potential vernal pool. Done.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until January 6th. And before you ask, Courtney, it is because the staff is in disagreement with the wetland line, so we're trying to resolve that with the applicant.
Sounds like a plan. I'll make the motion to continue it to the January 6th.
Thank you.
Gladfelter, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this until January 6th. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Gurney, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
Thank you. It is unanimous. That hearing is continued until January 6th. Next up are requests for determination of applicability. First up, Martha Rizzoli, 28 Barneck Road, Woods Hole, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a spiral staircase, second-story storage loft, and a second-story master suite. Mr. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff recommends a -2 under the state and a -3 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Patton, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Hawks, aye.
Harris, aye.
Peter. Peter, you're muted.
Walsh, aye.
Steve,
Patton, aye.
it is unanimous. Thank you. Next up, Dale Lathrop, 57 Triumph Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to remove a landing, to remove a portion of a patio, and to construct a porch. Mr. Newton,
Mr. Chairman, staff recommends a -2 under the state and the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Hawks, second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Hawks, aye.
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you. Next up, Sarah and Paul Betchta, 33 Mariners Lane, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to add a second floor addition and to install a new utility trench. Mr. Newton,
Mr. Chairman, staff recommends a -2 under the state and the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Hawks, second.
all right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Hawks, aye.
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you. Next up, Robert and Shannon LeBlanc, 6 Lawrence Street, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to add a second floor addition and to install a new utility trench. Mr. Newton,
Mr. Chairman, staff recommends a -2 under the state and under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Hawks, second.
what are the chances you get 2 exact ones like that?
Yes.
All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Hawks, aye.
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you. Next, Michael Serrard, 59 Old Minot Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For after the fact permission to install a swimming pool. Mr. Newton,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff recommends a -2 under the state and under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move. And I have a question as to what was the issue? They didn't realize they were within jurisdiction.
Yeah, Courtney. So I think it was during the summer, there was an RDA for a septic upgrade. And when I was out there, I noticed there was a swimming pool there that wasn't on the latest plan we had. And it must have slipped through building permit or something at some point. And they thought they were out of jurisdiction, but it turns out they're in the flood zone.
Okay,
Courtney, it also could be that when the applicant permitted a dock in around 2012, 2013, they could have been looking at an old site plan of theirs. And remember, the flood zone did change in 2014.
mhm,
That could have been it as well. They could have, so it's just, we were trying to figure out how it happened and.
yeah, not a big, okay.
Hawks, second.
we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelder, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Arlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you. All right. Next up are requests for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. First up, Jisoo Lee and Cynthia Tung, trustees, 75 Madeline Road, nominee trust, 75 Madeline Road, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise, RAZE, an existing single-family dwelling to construct a new single-family dwelling with associated clearing, grading, and landscaping, and to install a Title V sewage disposal system. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Mike Borselli up to present the project. Mike, is there anyone else on your project team?
Nope,
Just you?
just me tonight, yep.
Okay.
All right. You're up, Mr. Borselli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm sharing with you a screen of an aerial photograph of the existing conditions on the property at 75 Madeline Road. You can see there's an existing single-family dwelling, a driveway. There's a bulkhead that runs along the entire shore of this water body. There are neighboring homes, and it's a densely developed portion of Falmouth. The existing conditions plan shows, surprisingly, all the same elements as the aerial photo, but a little bit more detail. And including the wetland resources, which include land under the ocean, land subject to tidal action, and technically a coastal bank runs along the face of the bulkhead. And so does land subject to tidal action because spring tide runs along the bulkhead as well. So I've shown the most restrictive no disturbance zone A, which is 75 feet from, in this case, I believe it's land subject to tidal action. And then there's an associated 25-foot outer buffer zone, both of which total 100 feet. And you can see all of the existing features on the property. There's an existing retaining wall on the south side, the driveway, the existing trees. There's a unique feature to this structure in that it has an actual walkout to a garage door in a full basement below grade. This was actually excavated in this one area and retained by walls on both sides to gain access to a garage. And this is all well in the flood zone. It's in AE 12 flood zone, and there's the lowest elevation at the garage doors is 3. So it's basically just above the water table, and you can even see there's a drain here at the bottom. So the house is proposed to be raised and reconstructed. The homeowner, the renovations that were proposed were such that there was no way to do what they wanted and not trigger the requirements to meet FEMA standards, which the so-called 50% rule. So they made a decision to demolish the house and rebuild effectively in basically the same footprint, but slightly different, which I'll share with you now. The proposed plan. The proposed plan shows the proposed house and deck. It also shows the existing footprint ghosted on here for reference in a red outline. You can also see that sloping ramp down to the garage door to the lower level. So the plan shows the new house and deck shifted back slightly from the leading edge of the existing house. The proposed project also will include, when the demolition of the existing house occurs, this ramped depression that led to the lower level will be filled. And the new house will be constructed to meet FEMA standards with no basement, just at grade crawl space framed up to the first floor. And the first floor is proposed to be 14.3. And the base flood elevation is 12, so it meets your standard for 1 foot minimum above the base flood elevation. There's a proposed septic system in the front yard, which is in a flood zone, which is still in your jurisdiction, but it's more than 100 feet from all other wetland resources. There's a proposal for a sloping retaining wall to replace the existing retaining wall. And it's basically like a mini riprap, but we did it as a slope face instead of a vertical face. At the highest point, it's 6 feet. I actually have a photo of the existing wall I can share with you if you can see that. This is a little dilapidated and falling apart. It's averaging about here 4 feet tall. The grade at the new house will be raised slightly, a little bit, foot and a half or so here. And the new riprap will be a little bit higher, and then it'll be built really over here where I'm pointing with my mouse, and then sloped down into this area that is on their property. A small piece of the proposed wall drifts into the outer buffer zone B. When we did the impervious surface calculations to determine if mitigation planting was necessary, we did not include, we neglected to include that surface of that wall. But I calculated it, Jen had pointed that out when we talked about the project earlier. This area of this little finger-like projection is about 40 square feet or so. And we had a net decrease in B of 165 square feet. So we still have a net decrease. So that means there's still no need for mitigation planting. We've estimated the volume of fill necessary to fill this depression at 45 cubic yards. That would bring this up flush with the existing ground. In fact, I recommended to the homeowner that the walls, which are stone, just remain in place. There's no need to dig them out, just backfill and smooth it out on either side. I actually have a photo of that I could share with you, I believe. This photo here, you can see how this slopes down. You can see the drain at the bottom, the sloping riprap walls. So the grade would become flush. This should all just be filled in and the new grade would run right across. There was actually a question from staff about whether or not a couple of trees nearby to that would need to be removed. We're not proposing to remove a single tree on this application. There's a 15-inch pine here that's been there for a very long time and coexisted with the existing house, and now we're pulling the house back, so it certainly can continue to coexist. There's no need to remove it that I can see. Same with this 12-inch pine. Same with this 8-inch pine. And they show in this photo, one of the trees shows, and in this photo, you can see this other tree. So those trees are not proposed to be removed, and neither is this arborvitae, by the way, which was also raised in the staff report. So I would expect, and it certainly could be an order, condition that says that no trees should be removed. And if for some reason that we discovered a tree needed to be removed that I can't see, we'd have to come back for an amendment, but I don't see that as a likely outcome. The septic system design, there's no increase in bedrooms. There's 4 bedrooms currently, and there'll continue to be 4 bedrooms. It'll just be a new septic system underneath the driveway. And the driveway will be slightly readjusted since the house moves into a portion of the driveway, but it's still going to be like a half moon driveway, circular driveway in the front. There'll be dry wells. I've shown a limit of work. There are some of the trees that were in question are inside the limit of work. We understand that even though they're inside the limit of work, we don't have freedom to cut anything within the limit of work. That's why I wanted to make sure it was clear. These 2 trees are not proposed to be removed. This just seemed like the logical place to put the limit of work. And right up along the side of our property line on both sides to here. So I think that sums it up. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mike.
And I'll unshare my screen.
Please. Jen, do you want to begin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, hang on 1 second. Trying to get back into my main screen here. No, I think Mike addressed staff's initial comments regarding the trees, and then my comment today on the wall. So all of our comments and concerns were addressed. I do have concerns that, looking at the plan and talking about the trees more closely, I do have concerns that 14-inch line is not going to make it, but, well, you know, they're inside that limit of work, so we just need to be, not the 2 over by the ramp, Mike, the one over where it says like cobblestone edge, that pine right there. It was very clear in the picture that it's pretty close to the house, so. Yeah, just throwing that out there. So I don't want the root systems to be damaged either. But that's it. Unless Kevin Newton has any additional comments.
I don't, no comments, Chairman, thank you.
All right. All right. I hear something in the background. Betsy, comments?
Yeah, I just, Mike, could you share your screen again and put the plan up again, the plan of the new house?
Sure. Here you go.
So you show the old house in red,
Yes.
but you see where the walkway that goes under the old house?
This, yes.
Yeah, you still show that. Is that gonna be?
That's gonna be backfilled and that'll probably that's gonna be gone. There's no need for that anymore.
Yeah, so really it doesn't even need to be on the plan, right?
Yeah, I suppose I could have, I should have probably made it red.
Or it could have been in red.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely going away.
okay. And my other question is, could you put up the first aerial that you showed us?
Yes,
This is just a curiosity question.
yes.
So obviously, this is an odd shaped lot,
Yes,
but which confused me in the field, but I finally figured it out.
mhm.
But you see where the bulkhead is? So, yeah, so do they not own the extension of the bulkhead from there? Yeah, that extension. This is just curiosity.
I believe this is licensed under Chapter 91 and they have rights to this.
But it might belong to somebody else.
Well, it's out in the water. This was all developed at one time, so you can see, like, I caught the edge of it here. It continued, and then it was actually dredged, I guess, back in the day, and this created. So their property line is here, so theoretically, you can't even put a boat here. This is earth.
It's still all filled in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this has, I believe this has a chapter 91 license, and it's been there forever. I don't even know how it actually functions, but it is on their land, this part. And then this is in front of their lot. And then it continues on. There's another one with this house next door
Yeah,
that they use. And then there's a gap where there isn't bulkhead for some reason that I have no idea why. But this is all ancient stuff.
so while we're on it, how ancient do you think it is?
Oh, it's got to be from the late 70s or even earlier. I just don't know.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Right,
Okay, that's fine, thanks.
okay. Unsure.
You all set, Betsy?
Yep. Thanks, Jamie.
Courtney?
No questions and no coal, Mike.
Yeah, I'll have to give
I
you.
have a cookie for you if you want.
I'll come by. Get warm by the
All right.
coal stove.
Kevin O'Brien?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Mark?
No questions, sir.
Maury?
Good projects, like to see it move back. The only question I did have, are there gonna be AC unit or rent station generator?
I don't know the answer, Maury. I hadn't talked about that detail with the applicant. If the project can close, I'd prefer to close it and come back for an amendment for that if necessary. I don't believe they're proposing a generator. They're likely gonna have AC, and I don't show it on the plan.
I'm fine. You can put it as an amendment. But I just, to bring it to your attention.
Okay,
Otherwise, it was nice to see it move back. Nice project.
I'll make a note and I'll look into that.
All right. Anything else, Maury?
Oh, thank you.
All right. Pat?
No comments, thank you.
All right. Peter?
Yes, Mike, with the concrete walk in the back, it's going to be covered with how many feet of fill?
The
45.
At the very lowest point, I'm not sure. I can share my screen again, I suppose, for a minute.
Sure.
If you're referring to this area, Peter, the lowest grade at the garage doors is about 3.5, and the adjacent grade is about 8. So I would say there's at the tallest, deepest fill, it's 5 or 5.5 feet. And then it gets less and less as this ramp comes up, and then it would become flush with the existing grade right here, which is about 7.5.
Well, Mike, I'm a little bit concerned about impervious surfaces. On the drawing, it looks like an impervious surface. In the field, it looks like the concrete has cracked some. And if you have it underneath 8 feet or 5 feet or whatever, it's a pervious surface. But if it's only 1 foot or almost grade level, maybe the concrete should be broken up to get to a pervious surface. Do you see what I mean?
Are you referring to this
Yes.
one? Yeah, these are actually square patio blocks. In fact, why don't I just say they'll be removed?
Okay, that's fine.
They can be removed.
Okay,
I was concerned about the heavy lifting. I mean, I don't see the need to pull all
No.
this out.
no. If you're going to remove the patio blocks, I'm fine. No further questions.
Okay.
Thank you. Steve?
Questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. I agree, Mike. It's a good plan. I was thrown by the property line also
Yeah.
walking down there. It wasn't all that obvious. Or actually, it was obvious a different way, but there you go. All right, Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to comment or question on?
You want a
All right.
motion?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement, and Mike will have us come back to have to vote this during our 2-week vacation. We can do it though, Mike.
I heard that comment earlier and I said, oh boy, that's gonna work against me.
No. I mean, this is easier than ever, right?
Yeah, but I appreciate you coming back for a special meeting. I would waive the 21 days if you had a process to do it.
No, I think we can do it. Jen will work her magic and get us a meeting.
Arlo Hawk, second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing and take it under advisement. There's nothing else. I'm going to take the vote. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Arlo Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Boselli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. I wish you all a happy holiday season and stay safe.
Happy holiday, Mike.
Same to you.
Same to you, Mike.
Thank you.
Night, Mike.
Good night.
Remove. No, he's gone. Okay.
All right. Next up are continued hearings under a notice of intent. The first two have been continued yet again. So next up is Robert Carlson, trustee of the 142 Bay Shore Drive Nominee Trust, 142 and 148 Bay Shore Drive, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to remove a concrete wall, to replace a fence, to construct a new fence, and to increase the width of on-street parking. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I promoted Tom Bunker up to present his project or our continued project. Tom, do you have anybody else joining you tonight?
Not tonight, nope, not for this. one.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
For the record, good evening, everybody. For
You're
the
up,
record, my name
Mr.
is-
Bunker.
What? Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry. Yes, for the record, my name is Tom Bunker. BSS Design prepared these plans. I was here 2 weeks ago, sent home mainly with the task to see if I could show that the fence that's being replaced and shortened existed way back in days of yore. So if I could, I'll just share my screen, just go over a few things and then get into my discussion of the fence.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, hold on one second. So we have on Bay Shore Drive, 142 Bay Shore Drive is outlined in yellow here, but the project actually involves 142 and 148. The property line between the two is where this fence. I don't have anything colored in here for you, but we've revised the plan as noted in the staff report. The proposal was there was a fence running entirely from the utility pole out at the road all the way down to what we have is the limit of work, the top of the coastal bank near the above the dune facing on Buzzards Bay. And it's in the velocity zone out to this location here is in the velocity zone, and then landward of that is in flood zone AO, 1 foot deep, and of course the 25-foot Falmouth velocity zone. And so this fence, which had been going all the way out to here prior to having the hearing 2 weeks ago, had already been removed and a new fence put up. So we've revised our plan now, no longer calling for a fence to be removed, but basically just showing the existing replacement fence, which runs from the utility pole to this point right here. And so again, the project now would be, you could approve that fence, and then this concrete block wall will be removed along with these rug junipers, and replace this area with Rosa virginiana in here. And so the main question that arose out of that was whether the fence had been there long enough to just reduce its length, but still remain in the velocity zone, or if it had to be removed entirely from the velocity zone back to this location. I sent in this aerial photograph here, and I do have it circled, and to my eye, well, they show a shadow line, let's say, is what you can see in this location. There's also a shadow line here and other places along. Staff report says they couldn't verify that this showed a fence. So I submitted a letter today. If that got emailed out to you, I'm not sure, but I have this letter up here now. So I contacted the engineering department to see if I could look at the original photos in 3D. So I first looked at a 3D pair, or a stereo pair of photos that were scanned and emailed to me, but then I did have to go to the engineering office and look at the stereo pair in 3D. And to me, it looks quite evident that that is a fence. And I did, Chris Bennett was there with me in the foyer of the building, and he looked through the stereo glasses also and agreed that it certainly looks like a fence to him in there. And I couldn't help myself. I got out the maps that were drawn from these aerial photos. And I'm sure some of you remember from several years ago when I had such a map before you. And I note that where I think this fence was, and along all other, there are many other property lines where it looks like there's fences on the photos, and they're around the tennis court on this same plan. They use the same kind of line type on there. And so this is the line in question right here. You see it's got a long section and a short dash and a long section right through here. This line up here I have labeled fence is, along a property line. That's a fence line up here. There's another one up there. It's all the same line type. On this, what I have, what I submitted doesn't show the tennis court, but up top of this page has a tennis court on this same topo map, and it's surrounded by the same line type drawn in 1975. And so I think, from the photos and from this mapping that that this is a fence and it was there in 1975. And so when I submitted the old plan, you all signed it, and so I've signed it for you. And I hope I hope you'll take it that there's a fence there, and allow this plan to be done as we've drawn it. So I will take this down now and take questions.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom. Jen?
I have no questions. Thank you, John. Thanks for going to the engineering department. What you submitted, we just couldn't say for sure either way. So I really
I understand.
effort, and I really appreciate the topo. I still have the colored one you gave me.
I have mine too.
That's
All right, that's our entertainment for the evening. Mr. Newton, do you have anything?
I concur with Tom's analysis that it appears to be a fence.
There's a lot of effort on that. All right, I'm gonna ask for comments. We'll start with Maury.
No comments.
Pat,
No comments, thank you.
Peter,
Good job, Tom.
Steve,
No comments, thank you.
Betsy,
I'm just disappointed that Tom didn't color the trees green for the Christmas season.
I know, I thought I'd get in my green pencil, but I didn't get that far.
But thanks, Tom. I was the one who asked you to do that, and
No.
that's great.
Courtney,
Tom, convincing, no coal.
Thank you. I use gas heat anyway.
Mr. O'Brien,
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Mark?
No comments.
All right. Any public chat comments, Jim?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
Like to-
you.
Make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Carlo Hawk, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing and take it under advisement. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Rooney, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawk's aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is closed. Thank you, Mr. Bunker.
Thank you. See you all in the new year.
Merry
Tom,
Christmas.
are you staying for the next one?
I am.
Okay.
We won't wish you a happy new year yet.
Not quite yet, and Courtney can still give me coal.
Yeah,
Equal opportunity here.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Joe Jackson, 0 Bywater Court, parcel 023, lot 016, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to construct a single-family dwelling and install mitigation plantings. Jim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I promoted Teresa Sprague up as well. Teresa, is anybody else joining you? Nope, okay.
Ben?
I think we continued this project so Teresa and Tom could further revise the plan that has been done. So if they wanted to present what they've done, they can do so.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I will lead off, Teresa, if that's all right. I'll just show our plan. Again, for the record, my name is Tom Bunker. We prepared the site plan, and of course, you know, Teresa there who did all the planting plans. Let me just. Okay. So we have this is the site plan that we had prepared. You've all seen the basic plan, you know, the basics of this already. I can show you the changes that we made. When we left, there were two issues. One, of course, we were sent back to try to figure out definitively about there was a tree on the property and what became of that tree. And we also realized that the zone A line, cantilevering above and beyond the zone A line was not going to work. So we put a house in here basically saying we're going to have a house that is up to but not beyond, not into the zone A. slightly back from it. So this line conforms to the 75 feet Zone A from a water body. And this location right here. And it's, 15 feet or so at this end and 14 and some feet at this end, 51 feet long. It does not go over, the house has not been designed. When the architect changes it and puts real numbers to it, it'll be, undoubtedly a little bit smaller to fit, to continue fitting, however it will be done. It will be done, remain at least 75 feet from the water body. This dewatering basin in the past had been closer to Fresh River right here. So I pulled that up to be right up against where the edge of the proposed lawn is. The limit of work is running through here, so it's a little landward of where it had been. Say the dewatering basin is landward of where it had been. The house no longer encroaches over the lot line, and the house actually didn't get smaller because we filled in some nooks and crannies here. It's about the same size, but we're keeping the same amount of mitigation here. Covers the Zone A of land subject to tidal action and the 50-foot coastal bank Zone A. And there is some it's all existing lawn, and there is existing lawn will remain within the Zone A, remain as it is, except it'll be re-lawned with not Falmouth friendly, but the lawn that meets the wetland regulations and the town nitrogen control bylaw in this location. The drainage system remains the same, basically draining into, infiltrating through corrugated perforated pipe around the perimeter of the building, and if there's any overflow, have little bubblers over in this location. Turned out there had been administrative approval for removing the tree, which according to that approval, the tree had been within the 75 feet. We don't know where, but it was within the 75 feet of the water body. So it was in the Zone A, and there was an agreement that tree would be replaced. And so the tree, but you have to have Teresa talk about the tree and her part of things. So maybe I'll just turn this over to Teresa at the moment. Basically, my synopsis is the house got made smaller. It no longer is going into the Zone A. So I'll stop my share, and Teresa, you can go on from here.
Thank you, Tom. Teresa?
Good evening, everyone. Teresa Sprague with Blue Flax Design. I am just going to share my screen, and I will pull up the plan. So this was the most recent plan that we submitted from dated December 9th. So there's really not much of a change. We haven't changed the mitigation area, the mitigation planting at all. We did add one Amelanchier tree in this area here. We made sure that it was more than 10 feet away. We understand that there's some concern that it may eventually be under the canopy. Of course, a serviceberry tree is an understory tree. But we can certainly relocate that if the commission would prefer to see it somewhere out, in this area here. We were also trying to minimize the amount of shrubs that we had to remove. So in order to fit this tree, we removed 8 shrubs that were originally proposed. So we may have to switch those around if staff feels more comfortable with moving this here. But otherwise, the mitigation plan hasn't changed at all. We're now proposing 8 trees. So the 7 trees, we were originally proposing 1 per 1,000 square feet of mitigation proposed, as well as the 1 serviceberry tree to replace the unnamed tree. I believe maybe it was an English oak, a dead English oak that was removed under the RDA. And we've had to reduce the shrubs. I believe there was a comment that we're still showing 358 native shrubs in our plan notes. However, we've reduced that to 350 in order to fit that serviceberry tree in, so we can certainly make that change to the plan notes. Otherwise, we're still looking at 7,043 square feet of restored area from lawn. I would just like to share, if possible, this photo, which I think just really explains the lot here. I mean, where I'm standing in the area where the house would be located, looking out onto the lot. So all of that turf lawn that is currently full of goose poop will now be planted. We do believe that this is a significant improvement as far as protection for the resource area. You can see the structures directly across the river are, right on top, and there's a significant amount of Phragmites along the edge of the river. So this house will be certainly set much further back from the river area than houses, surrounding houses, including the house that's just out of this frame on the right. And then this entire area, which has been managed as turf or has been managed for as far back as we could see in our exploration of photos, aerial photos, will now be allowed to be in a completely naturalized vegetated state. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the proposed mitigation plan.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thanks.
Jen, do you want to begin?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I think the revised staff comments from the 14th pretty much, say it all. They've tried really hard. They're still unable to meet that separation between, the lawn area still in that zone A. The planting land. Teresa, do you think the serviceberry will be all right underneath the oak? I mean, the oak's small. It's going to take a while before that canopy really develops.
Yeah, absolutely. And serviceberry would be found with those plants in a naturalized area that hadn't been previously disturbed. So going in at the size they are and allowing to naturalize it, it'll be fine.
Okay. Is it still going to be a prefabbed house?
Yes.
So I don't know really anything about prefabbed houses. They can construct it with that little kind of odd shape to it?
I believe actually Mr. Jackson is sitting in on this call, and he is the one who has been working on the design on that. So if he can speak to I believe he submitted a construction protocol previously for this. And if he's available and can speak to the construction of that, that may be helpful.
I just promoted Mr. Jackson up as a panelist if he's with us.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Jackson. It seems like kind of an odd shape now that you've filled in what Tom called all the nooks and crannies to kind of maximize the size of that house in that zone A. And when I don't know anything about prefab houses, so maybe the construction gentleman on my board can help me out, but can they build it like that?
We still could build it like that. It would
okay, perfect.
It would be additional modules. The 16 foot's typically the max they can bring over the road, so we would have to bring in additional modules for that little bump out.
Okay.
So
just
yeah.
Curious, that's all, more than anything. Okay, and like Alyssa said in the staff report, if the board does choose to if the board does choose to do approve the project, then you should require a single rail fence along the restoration mitigation area. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, that's acceptable.
Thank you. Mr. Newton, do you have anything to add?
The question for Teresa. Do you think that the high water table there could impact the roots of the trees? I suspect maybe that's what happened to the English oak. Do you have any thoughts on that?
That's a good question. I think the trees that we're proposing, the swamp white oak and the Nyssa sylvatica would absolutely tolerate some wet roots. That's not an issue at all, as well as the serviceberry. The one thing that we may want to consider then with that is the pitch pine. However, we could just increase or switch that out with some more Nyssa sylvatica and some more Quercus bicolor. So that is a really good point and a really good question, Kevin. I agree that high groundwater table could affect the pitch pine.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Teresa, wouldn't the salt intrusion contribute to that as well?
Yeah, I mean,
That's got to be brackish water, right?
yeah, and all of these plants will tolerate that. So you would find these plants in saltwater areas. So that's not a concern for me. Pitch pine is generally an upland plant. So we may want to consider switching that pitch pine out for again, maybe splitting and adding. So we've got 3 pitch pine proposed. Perhaps we add 2 more Tupelo and another Quercus bicolor.
Thank you. Tom, I'd like to thank you for teaching me a new word. I've never heard the word relawned before. So thank you for that.
I haven't heard it either.
I actually was thinking, Tom, we might have used returfed because that might be a little bit more.
Returf it?
Returf it.
All right. And just to be clear, the limit of work is going to be entirely in the A zone, correct? As you have proposed?
Yes, the limit of work is including 10 or 12 feet of land within the A zone. And I say that it's not unusual, for that. I have several examples that I could show where when we have a lawn situation, then the limit of work is very often allowed to take place in a lawn, it wouldn't be able to happen when you have natural vegetation. But I could show, I have sort of 5 examples of them queued up here, which I could show if you'd want me to, but it's not unusual to have limit of work go into the A zone if it's already a lawn area.
And be relawned. All right.
Relawn, yeah.
My other question is, and if I misheard you, please clarify. Are you asking us to approve this without an accurate foundation plan?
I think if we don't have an accurate foundation plan that hasn't been designed, but I think certainly if there's a condition that all parts of the foundation must be at least 75 feet from the, must be outside of the zone A of the land under a water body.
So you're basically giving us an envelope to stay within.
It's I think it's safe for you guys. It's a very small envelope, so we're not going to run amok with this one.
All right. Kevin O'Brien.
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Mark.
Looks good to me. Thank you.
Maury. You're muted.
You're muted.
I am. No comment.
There you are. Thank you. Pat.
No comments.
Peter.
I have to congratulate Tom on getting the house foundation out of the 75-foot area zone. And I have a question maybe about the dewatering basin. What is the anticipated longevity of the dewatering basin? Like a month, 2 months? What's the anticipated use of it?
I think it will only be, I think I have a note on there, it's only going to be as long as it takes to excavate for the foundation, put the foundation in, and probably some excavation for the underground utilities. I would think it might they'd want to close up as quickly as possible, probably no more than a month would be my estimation. I mean, once they start going, I think they're just going to get that stuff in.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Steve?
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. I think they've maximized the ability to make this lot useful.
Let's say, Betsy.
No questions. Thanks, Tom and Teresa.
Courtney?
Yeah, first I'll second Joe's comments about prefab, or better yet, factory-built houses. The technology has advanced quite a bit in recent years, and they do a good deal of custom-built stuff. It's not cookie cutter, one plan fits all. It can be designed any way you want. And I think that I will second the comments that you guys have made a real effort to accommodate us and get this thing right. And it's a good job. No coal. You get milk and a Triscuit. All right. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
You passed the Courtney test. All right. Jen, are there any public comments?
There are no public chat comments at this time, Mr. Chairman, but I do want to remind the board that there was a letter of opposition that was written and submitted, forwarded to you guys on December 2nd. Okay, you did all receive that and read that, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, also
that's
read-
it.
I also
Okay.
read it to the record during the hearing.
Okay.
So I'd like to
So,
make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close this hearing, take it under advisement. There's no further comments. I will take the vote. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Mark?
Pretty, aye.
Maury?
Hello, Hawks, eye.
Pat?
Harris, aye.
Peter?
Walsh, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is closed.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Tom, thank you, Teresa. Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Happy holidays to you both.
Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Right.
Next up, continued requests for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation. First one is continued. Second one is Sarah Girano Flores, Nutter McLennan, and Fish LLP. 24 Willis Lane, Falmouth, Mass. Request for confirmation of the following resource area boundaries and buffer zones: coastal beach, coastal dune, salt marsh, and bordering vegetated wetland. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am promoting Attorney Flores, Jack Vaccaro, who did the delineation. Is there anybody else I should be promoting up at this time?
Sean Riley of Coastal Engineering.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm promoting Sean Riley of Coastal Engineering up. There's Jack with us. Oh, there's Jack. Hi, Jack. Looking for all the squares. Briefly, Mr. Chairman, this was to confirm the bordering vegetated wetlands, salt marsh, and coastal dune on the property. There's a lot of overlapping buffers. They are proposing to redevelop the property, and the applicant just wanted to make sure they had the correct delineations. Staff went out a couple of times on this property. We worked with Jack on some slight, a slight modification to the bordering vegetated wetlands. We were a little thrown on the dune delineation. It's not something that your staff does often, looking at these types of vegetated dunes. So we brought in Greg Berman of the Coastal Geologist for Barnstable County and Sea Grant to help us evaluate that. We met out there with Greg and Jack on site. Greg submitted a draft report. There was some questions, so Greg and Mark went back out there. And I think that there's only one modification we need to see. Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, it's dune flag 8 to move landward about approximately 5 feet. And then the salt marsh line appears to be correct as well. There was some issue with the salt marsh flags not being on the plan. So Mark went out today and looked at that, and he's in general agreement with the salt marsh line. And that's all I have.
Mr. Newton, do you want to add anything to that?
Jack, did you want to say anything?
I just wanted to indicate, Jen, that your reporting is accurate, that we did wind up adjusting 2 flags on the bordering vegetated wetland delineation and 1 flag on the dune delineation. You know, it was a very challenging site, I can tell you that. I'm not surprised that Mr. Berman had a slightly different angle on the dune delineation. But in interest of moving this project forward, we're certainly willing to concede that 5 feet at that point. And yes, it was flag D8.
D8, okay.
Yep.
And I really don't think even moving D8 is really going to change that kind of building envelope very much at all, I don't think.
You know, I haven't looked at that at all, Jen, but maybe Sean could comment on that.
Yeah, because I think the closest point is over by maybe dune 1 or 2 in that pinch point area over there, which is why Jack was also, I also asked Jack to do a 4th transect over on the far east side of the property, because that's the corner of the house where it's closest to, and that information was done after the initial filing, provided to Mr. Berman and reviewed by him as well. Sean.
Yes. So Jennifer did a very good job of summarizing. She stole my thunder and introducing the project. So that's quite all right. So Jack did all of the delineation. As Jennifer said, we've worked closely with them and with Greg Berman to walk the site several times to make some adjustments. As Jack said, we're willing to concede moving the D8 flag 5 feet further landward. We can provide an updated plan to the commission, and rather than take up any more of your time, we'll just open it up to any more technical questions you may have for Jack.
Jen, anything else?
No.
All right. Mr. Newton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no comment.
All right. Ms. Flores, didn't mean to leave you out. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm all right. Thank you very much.
All right. Anybody have any comments, questions? All right.
I have a comment. I thought Greg's report was interesting, although I had to read it 3 times before I got his conclusion. I mean, I got the fact that geology trumps topography, but then I had to go back and I went out to visit the site, and I can see the exact area that they were talking about. That was interesting.
That is a very interesting site.
Yeah, it's a beautiful site. It's a nice complex of resources there.
Sure is. Yeah.
I just surprised, and it was a great opportunity to get out and visit that point. I had always wondered what was out there, and now I know. And it's beautiful, and thank you.
So should I make a motion, Jamie?
I believe so, if there's no other comments.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Third, second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to close this hearing. I should ask, Jen, do we accept public comments on something like this?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. And no, there's no public comment in the chat function.
All right, covered all bases. All right, without further ado, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Mark,
Renee, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is closed. Thank you, everyone.
Great, thank you.
Thank you and happy
Thank you all.
holidays.
Happy holidays. Be
Thank you very
careful
much.
out there tomorrow.
Yep.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Night, Jack.
All right, next up, continued hearings under an enforcement order. First, Cape House 11 LLC, 223 Meadow Neck Road, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of vegetation within conservation jurisdiction. Jen,
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So we had continued this from the initial enforcement hearing where we presented the staff report put together by Mark and Kevin. And we continued to this date for kind of like a status report. We want to keep moving these forward, and I think this is a good way to do that, so we don't lose track of them. A status report was provided. I spoke with Crawford Land Management earlier this month, and they have contracted with the applicant. Given the time of year and given how busy everybody is, we have yet to see a plan from Crawford, but I did speak with the attorney today. They're committed to moving this forward. So what I explained was that we'll probably continue this again until the end of January, early February, so that they can submit, we can work with Crawford Land Management to get a plan submitted so the commission can review that. How does that sound to you guys?
Sounds good.
Just nod, shake your head, something, bobble, awesome. Jamie's like, no. So I just think, like I said, instead of just issuing an enforcement order and then, having to bring the plan back to you, I'd rather just follow this process right now so we can get a plan, and that way we keep track of everything.
I think the important thing is to note that they have a contract with Crawford, so we know they're moving forward with it, so.
Correct. And I did, sorry, Jamie. I did speak with the attorney today and explained to her that, I was going to propose this to the board.
I just had one quick question that maybe Kevin could answer. With all the heavy rain, I know we had asked them to put up an erosion protection. Has anybody, I have not been back out there, I apologize, but just to make sure that it's it is still stable because we've had a lot of rain.
Good question, Maury. I don't know the answer to that. We'll have to check it as soon as we can.
I'll try and get out there. I just thought if you already did, I wouldn't drive out, but.
Yeah, it's not an area that I frequently visit.
Meaning, thank you, that's all.
All right. What are they looking for a date, Jen?
Well,
what are we looking for?
Since we've already continued something to February 3rd, you'll understand why I'm saying this in a few minutes. How about February 3rd?
At the request of
February forward to present a restoration plan to the commission.
So at the request of, I guess, the applicant to present a plan, I make a motion to continue to February 3rd.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to continue this until February 3rd, at which time we would expect to receive a plan, restoration plan. Okay. All right, anything else from anyone? All right, Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, I.
Mark,
Renee, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks Eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is continued until February 3rd. Next up, Claudia Senadis, 51 Pondview Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted removal of vegetation within conservation jurisdiction. Jen?
Yes, the property owner is requesting a continuance continuance until February 3rd. I did speak to Brian Wall today. They have contacted him to help them through this process. He was just today. So I did speak with him twice today regarding this project, and he'd like some time to kind of, explore their options and find somebody that they can work with on a restoration plan. So I did say that we would give them a couple of weeks, probably until the end of January. It is a really tough time of year and everybody is very busy. So I don't think staff's comfortable with that proposal to you. So I would say February 3rd.
Would we expect a plan at that point?
I'm going to work on it. They're going to need to do a new survey of the property. They're going to try to contract or contact the original engineer that did the RDA plan for the house. That firm is located in Wareham, to see if they can't use that original plan to save some time and some money. So he was just retained today.
Okay, so we have a reasonable expectation they'd be working with you guys.
Correct.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they'd like to ask or add
Do we need to take a vote on the
for
continuance?
continuance? Yes.
Yes.
Maury has a question.
Yeah, I just looked at the pictures that were submitted today. Stabilization of the site throughout the winter. I mean, frozen ground, sheeting off, thaw, freezing. Has anything been, I mean, the other people came right to us that night and we were able to kind of walk them through what they had to do. Have you spoken to the owners or whoever to?
No, yeah, Maury, but we'll let them know that the site's pretty flat. I'm not as worried about this site with any sort of runoff or anything as I would be on the other site with that bank right there. But we can take a look and make sure it's stabilized.
And no future work.
And no future work, correct.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to continue this hearing until February 3rd.
Oh,
21.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing until February 3rd with a reasonable expectation that they'd be working with staff towards the end of getting a restoration plan. I don't see a nod from Jen.
Yes, that's fine, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I'm going to try to work with them. We can only do what we can do.
Right, but I mean, if they,
Them to kind of,
we come back in February and they're doing nothing, then we're moving forward.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this till February 3rd. There's no more questions or comments? All right, Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Goody, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawk's Eye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. This hearing is continued until February 3rd. And folks, that's all we have.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of items I need to talk to the board about there real quick. One, we
Apparently,
do.
there's other business.
Thank you. We do need to set a meeting to vote orders of conditions. Given that they're on a Zoom format, I think it might be a little easier for some than others. We used to do it at 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm not quite sure what you want to do. So I'm looking at Monday, the 20th, so it's the 16th, 3. I'm looking at Monday or Tuesday, the 28th or 29th, to have a quick meeting, vote your orders of conditions. Does anybody have a time preference?
Can do anything.
Jamie, it's you and Maury I'm usually concerned with because of your schedules. So I'm gonna say it again, Mr. Chairman, what time's best for you?
8 o'clock in the morning.
Perfect. Anybody have a preference, Monday or Tuesday?
That's the 21st or 22nd?
No, 28th or 29th, Mark, not next week, the week after.
29th is the only one good for me.
The 29th, that Tuesday? Does that work for everybody?
Yep, 8 o'clock.
Oh,
on the
8 o'clock
29th.
on December 29th, and I will set up a Zoom call for everyone.
Thank you.
All right, just to say it, we only need 4, so if it's inconvenient with the holidays, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I just need 4 of you, so let me know, please. At 8
All right, well, I'm committing, and I believe Mark, I don't want to speak for you, you just committed. Okay. So we got 50%.
Okay. I'm sure see 2 more of you. Okay, we'll set that
See 7
meeting.
more of us.
Yep, that meeting. Second announcement, I sent you an email. Favorite fudge maker has delivered fudge to the offices. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you,
So
Susan.
staff will be able to disperse your fudge to you on Friday. Okay, given the weather tomorrow, I don't know if Amy's going to be able to make it in from North Plymouth. So contact us on Friday. Mark is already upset that he missed his fudge today. And we will get you your fudge. Third,
The highlight of the year.
Yeah, thanks, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
And one other piece.
This will be better than our staff party?
You're very welcome, and I wish everybody a happy and healthy Christmas and definitely 2021.
You as well.
Same to you.
Here,
Thank
here.
you,
Same
Susan.
to everybody.
and the only other thing is we have been getting calls about your schedule. You like to take your schedule in 3 or 4 month chunks. The reason I was talking about the 3rd is we're going to be meeting on the 6th, the 13th, the 20th. Does the board want to meet on the 27th of January as well? Or do you want to take that day off and then I'll come up with a schedule for you that we can vote on or we can discuss at the December 29th meeting?
Let's take a break on the 26th. It's nice to have a break every once in a while.
All right, so we won't be meeting on the 27th of January, and then I'll come up with, that'll get us through May. Okay. Okay, and other than that, I have nothing else for you other than to wish my commission and staff members a very happy holidays.
And likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your due
You too,
diligence.
Jen.
All right, everybody have a great Christmas, and I'll see
Ho, ho,
you on the 29th.
Be safe.
To adjourn.
Oh, Cole.
I'll second.
All right.
We all get cookies and milk.
I'll second the motion to adjourn. Gladfelter.
Bird,
Who made-
second.
No, who made the motion?
Maury made the motion.
That's what I thought. Thank you. We have a motion, a second to adjourn. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Mark,
Gurney, aye.
Maury,
Hello, Hawks, aye.
Pat,
Harris, aye.
Peter,
Walsh, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you.
Thank you.
Merry
everyone.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, guys. I'll see you on the flip side.